Welcome back to the Floor Academy podcast. I don't know why I said welcome back. I guess if you're a returning listener, welcome back. I think it's because we got part 2 this week, so I'm a little thrown off. We got Tony Pieroni from the Flooring Dealer Sales Accelerator joining us once again. We're going to be talking about lead flow management, following up, and really digging in a little bit deeper into some things. We got some questions that were brought up at the end of the last episode. So if you didn't listen, you might have no idea what we're talking about as we continue on. So if you didn't listen last week, go back, pick up the episode from last week, listen, and then come back to this one, and you'll be all caught up. You'll know where we're at, and we'll get that going. And so we're gonna have a great conversation. We're looking to talk about what to expect from lead flow. I think a lot of times, and Tony's right, there's a huge misunderstanding of, you see these guys on the internet who can handle 10 more leads a month, who can handle 20 leads a month. And the expectations are set really high that like you're going to be guaranteed like 10, 20, 30 jobs, whatever it is they're offering you. And that's not necessarily the case. So what can you really expect once you hire someone to help you with lead flow management? What do you need to do with the leads that are coming in? What kind of expectations do you need to set? We're going to talk about high intent versus low intent leads. We need to talk about how many leads do you need so that you can actually run your business, and then how many leads do you need to convert so that you can actually run your business. We're going to dig into all of that and probably more, guaranteed. I know that these conversations wander and we end up all over the place having a great time. So I'm looking forward to getting this finished up. Let's see, what else do we got? Thanks for listening. Floor Academy is here every week so that you can stop owning a job, owning a hobby, and own a business, one that does what you actually wanted it to do when you started. I am like you. I know what you wanted. You wanted more time to do your hobby. You wanted more time with your wife and kids if you've got them. You wanted probably to be more profitable and not be living paycheck to paycheck. You listen to these episodes, you implement the things we're talking about little by little, one thing at a time. If you can find one golden nugget an episode, your business will be different in 52 weeks. I guarantee it. How do I know? Because I did it. I had the conversations. I put things in place. It changed my life. I learned how to market better. I learned how to do sales better. I learned how to follow up better. I learned how to manage my time better. And it changed my life. It let me hang out with my family and enjoy my time with them. And it put more money in my pocket. I was able to pay off $200,000 of debt in 2.5 years. You don't do that without learning a thing or two. Not generally. And I did not win the lottery, and I did not get an inheritance. That was from hard work, slaving away, plank by plank on the floor. What do we got? Let's get a quick word from Tile Tools in, and then we'll hear from Tony. We'll have him introduce himself again, and then we're going to dive into this just for you guys. Attention flooring professionals, elevate your craftsmanship with the finest tools and supplies from tiletools.com. From spacers to saws, we have everything you need for flawless tile installations. Plus, we offer top-notch customer service and fast shipping. I know all about the fast shipping. I ain't even lying. They usually get it there before the estimated date. As a special offer for Floor Academy listeners, use the code FA10 at checkout to receive 10% off your next order. Don't settle for less. Visit tiletools.com today and experience the difference in quality and service that professionals trust. They will get you set up really well over there. Love those guys. They're great. We'll hopefully be living close to them soon. We will see. There's been a lot of changes around the Hedin household lately, that's for sure. But I didn't even introduce myself. I'm Kyle. I was a former flooring contractor and boutique store owner. That's my story. And then I got into interviewing people, and this whole like podcast became a thing. So we're still out here doing it. That's enough for me. I don't want to hear from me anymore. Tony, welcome back. Thank you for joining me again, being willing to do part 2. If you listened last week and you just finished that up, then but who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it?
What's up, Kyle? First of all, I don't mind hearing from you. You got a great story, and it's always good to catch up. And it's always nice to hear what you have to say. Name is Tony Pieroni. I'm been in the industry for 17 years now. Started with Mohawk and what we would say is our great recession, 2008. Did a lot of cool things for them. Moved around the world, worked in New Zealand, did a little bit of work in Canada, California, whatever. Led me to this about 5 years ago or so, about 4 years ago. And today, what we do is I own a company called Flooring Dealer Sales Accelerator, and we work with flooring retailers or business owners around the country. And essentially, our job is to either manage your lead flow or help you create lead flow and then manage that, organize it, and convert it into qualified booked appointments, which I think is the most important metric in your business. Not your impressions, not your clicks, not your form fills, not anything like that. Most important thing you need is to meet with more qualified clients, and that's what we try to focus on for you.
That I would agree with. Impressions, anybody giving you an impressions number that's doing some type of marketing and advertising for you and telling you it matters, they're an idiot. Look, it's great. I used to get 30,000 impressions on Facebook over the weekend. 2 days, I could get 30,000 impressions for my business.
That's a conversation with my media buyer, not a conversation with you. Not you specifically, but our clients. Yeah.
But what mattered was how many people sent me messages, right? And so if I only got 2 messages about inquiries into installing floors and 30,000 impressions, that's one for 15,000. Mm-hmm. Well, it was free and it took me an hour of my time and I probably converted one of those. And is that good? Probably not, and I would usually get more messages than that, but it was a matter of tweaking things to try and get 5 or 6 messages instead of 1 or 2. But impressions are not the end. How many people are actually contacting me? That's what's going to matter, right? I can pay for a million impressions, but if nobody reaches out to you, who cares? So awesome. I also love the international sales experience, and you didn't hit on it, but we had the conversation. I love that Mohawk enjoyed having you, and you were ballsy enough to, you'd get a territory established, and as a territory rep, you get paid on commission. Mm-hmm. And so you would go and you would get it all set up and running just great, and you'd probably finally had a stable income, and they were like, hey, you want to go somewhere new? And you're like, sure, why not? And you would reset the clock and your income and just do it all over again. And so I love that you were able to look at it and you developed such a great system that you weren't worried about going somewhere new and starting all over again.
Money's not everything.
It's not.
It's like if you look at like the Mohawk group, the commercial team, right? Some of the highest paid AEs or reps in the industry are commercial reps, right? Mm-hmm. And they've been in their market for 15, 25 years, right? And they have a lot of like corporate institutions. They have a lot of like big clients, and that's where the money is made in the industry. But like, I have 3 teenage daughters, and all the way up until this last move, they were really enjoying the trip. They're enjoying seeing these different places, different cultures. I call it slow travel, mm-hmm. where you can go somewhere and kind of experience the cuisine, even as Canada, but you can kind of pick up a new life a little bit and, collect people along the way. So my family enjoyed that. I enjoyed that too. So it was made for a good fit for us for sure.
Good. All right. We want to jump in here. So, what can we really expect from someone generating lead flow, right? Like I think you're right. This is the biggest misconception ever. I paid you. My business should improve overnight. My phone's going to ring off the hook. I'm going to get so many more leads. I don't have to do anything on my own anymore. You're going to do it all for me.
Great question. So let's talk about the disconnect between marketing agencies that you're seeing on Facebook and Instagram and the industry really quick. Mm-hmm. I feel that a lot of most flooring retailers, most flooring businesses have experience with like the shared lead sources like Angie's, Thumbtack, that type of stuff, and also Google, right? So when they're speaking in terms of leads, I think people in the industry are thinking of like customers, right? Like a referral is a lead, right? Mm-hmm. But we need to back up and remember that when we speak, and I would encourage everybody to take on this definition because it's a true definition and it separates the conversation a bit. And I'll explain: is a lead is just a phone, a name and number, or somebody you can follow up with for business purposes. There's no intent there. There's no high intent. There's low intent. It's just information that you could potentially, call or contact or whatever to grow your business. So leads in themselves suck. They're just not fun to work. They're not fun to follow up on. They just suck. Most people in our industry feel that like leads are actual customers, people walking in the door, stuff like that. But no, we want to convert leads into qualified booked appointments. And qualified booked appointments are what most people in our industry think about leads. And that's the metric that we need to focus on, right? Because booked appointments isn't good enough to focus on, because booked appointments isn't necessarily quality. We see people all over the industry. I talk to them every single day where they're not happy with the amount of appointments they're getting, or the quality of appointments they're getting, and they're getting a lot of appointments. So the very metric of qualified booked appointment is the one thing that if you can get it right and you have a decent close rate, you could increase that metric, qualified booked appointments, and scale your business. That's where all your scale is. You look at the biggest guys in the industry, the biggest ones nationwide, right? They have brilliant systems to generate lead flow and convert to qualified booked appointments, and then a metric to focus on the sales. I just so happen to lose influence when it comes to sales. My influence stops at qualified booked appointments as a company.
Okay.
Right. So that internal sales process is very important, whether you're a one-man show or you're on a 5-man sales team.
Well, and that qualified booked appointment is so important, right? I remember when I started, anybody that called, especially because I wasn't busy, I didn't have anything going on, right? Oh, you have a floor? Like, I'll go look at it. When are you available? Oh, I can be there in 20 minutes. Well, okay, so now I'm desperate, and I let them know I'm desperate, right? Because I'm obviously free and I can get there. So I was running around, I was looking at everything. I just had someone reach out because my number still exists out there, and people don't know that I necessarily closed down. And they were like, hey, I got 2 bedrooms I want done. Looking to get a cost and when you could do it. I was like, well, cool. Let's have a conversation. No. Let's, they kept pushing for like, when can you do it? How much? And I told them, I was like, we can have a phone conversation. And if you want me to come out and look, there's going to be $100 charge for me to come out, measure everything, go have a consultation with you, come up with everything and get you a price. And then if you decide to go with me, we can, that $100 is credited to your final bill. Didn't get a message back, just stopped right there, right? They were interested in it being for them. And I was like, no, see, that's not a great lead for me. Like, I don't want to book anything with you because you don't value my time. You just want free information and expertise, and that's not how I'm going to operate. But I used to chase stuff like that all the time. And if it's a 30-minute drive there and a 30-minute drive back, and you're there 30 minutes, and then you got 30 minutes to write everything up, I'm 2 hours into a pointless, lead. You do that 5 times a week. What are you doing?
It's a lot of wasted time.
Exactly. So I think that's a great point of like, it really matters what the source is and what you're doing with it, right? So how do we qualify them? What are we looking to get out of the client once we have their info, or the prospect, I should say?
Yeah. So it's an important part of the process. Think about, what it takes to qualify the lead too. You have to, we talked about this a little bit to touch base. What we had last week is you got to be fast. You got to get to them quick. You got to provide everybody, good, bad, or ugly, nice or mean. You got to provide everybody with brilliant customer service, right? Be kind, ask them great questions. How you ask them questions is super important, because truly that first phone call is the beginning of the sales process for you. So the feeling that they get on that first phone call, right, could carry them through, with great momentum into closing, into, hey, the last thing you want to do is have to overcome some sort of mistake or some sort of miscommunication or something like that, because then you're working from a deficit.
No, great point. So, it's first impressions they mean everything. And so if you
think about how many contractors out there are just sick and tired of taking phone calls for leads. And think about that first phone call. What? Hey, yeah, this is Jim. Yeah.
That's me, but much nicer. 'Cause
No, but
that's
you know
what
what
I'm
I'm
going to get
saying?
in, right? I mean, that's kind of the next step here in our conversation is setting the, set up the expectations with the lead. And
Yeah.
I don't know that a lot of people do that. I think that, and it's been talked, we've talked about it before on the program, is who's in control, right? I'm the business owner. You called me. You
Mhm.
don't get to control the narrative. I get to control the
Mhm.
narrative. Are you a good
Mhm.
fit for me and my company? Can I fit
Mhm.
you into my schedule? Can I, like, yes, I want to work with you, but you called me, you wanted an expert. So now
Mhm.
I'm going to let you know how this goes. And I think a lot of stuff gets away from a lot of smaller business owners because they're like, "Oh, the customer's always right." No, the customer. I love the movies Clerks, right? So the customer's always an asshole. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
that's not true. It's just a funny line, right? But
Yeah.
it's about like I have something that I need out of my business, and I have values that control it, and I want to make sure who I work with fits within that. I want to make sure that they respect me for what I bring to the table. And so when you're just running around willy-nilly looking at everybody's project, you're not qualifying that they meet the way your company operates. And I think
Mhm.
that's really important. So let's, what kind of expectations are you looking to set? Because for me it was like, do they actually value me, and do they
Mhm.
value my time and my expertise, or are they just like, if you're just looking for a number, I'm not the guy that can provide that for you. Like, I can get
Yeah.
you a number over the phone, but I'm not going to come out. And so if you refuse to have a phone conversation with me and you just want me to come to your house, like, that's a no for me. I'm done.
We simplify it into like 4 to 5 questions, and every client has different qualifications. But the bulk of our clients, as an example, is I can say, hey, these four are transferred to almost every single client we have. And I'm not pretty much going to say every client, right? And so we know what we need to learn about that lead to
Mm-hmm.
find out if they qualify in order to make it effective, make it a quick conversation, maybe meaningful, and even ask how you ask the questions are important too. It can bring you closer to the person or push you apart. There's a lot of psychology, I think, in how you communicate with
Mm-hmm.
people. And for instance, like one of them would be like, do you own your home? Like, do you really
Okay.
want to go on a job that you don't, somebody doesn't own their house, a renter getting a bid for for the landlord, right? You can ask them, do you own your home? But that's kind of like, it might be insulting to some people,
Yeah.
so it's like, how long have you owned your home is a good way to ask that question, right? Um, oh, I've had it for 15 years. Awesome. I also want to know, like, a lot of our clients only want, have a minimum of at least one room. They don't want to go out for a repair. They don't do repairs.
Yeah.
They don't want to install your countertop for you or install your material that you bought. Some people do. Most of our clients don't. Um, it's minimum one room, right? Bedroom, whatever. Because if it is minimum one bedroom, it could open up to a number of more rooms. Because if they end up wanting to match something that you
Yeah.
can't match, all those things. So that's kind of the minimum that we like to see is minimum one room. We also want to know what kind of flooring, they're interested in, obviously, if you're a specialist. But minimum one room. I also want to make sure that they're in our geographic area, like where we're willing to drive reasonably, stuff like that.
Okay.
And then the fourth one just escaped me, but remember it in a second.
Well, so
um,
do you ever ask? I think one of the ones that drives a lot of contractors nuts across the gamut, not even flooring contractors, is you constantly get called to go do a bid and you don't know if it's for insurance or not. And when it's insurance, they're
yeah.
just getting bids to throw a number, then they're going to pocket not everyone does the work, right? They just pocket the money.
Mhm.
And so have you built anything like that in your system to vet if it's an insurance quote or not?
We do, and that comes down to the specific client, right? So I have some clients that want all that insurance work, right? So they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, is this insurance work?" Absolutely. I have clients that don't want it at all. So it just depends on what they're looking for. So
Okay.
if you know the five, if you can summarize in your own, so like I said, I think businesses come down to systems, right? You create systems and you tool on those systems over time to improve the process. But if you can summarize your conversations rather than being willy nilly, just connecting with somebody over the phone. It's trying to extract 4 or 5 pieces of information that will rank that customer or say it's a good fit for us or a low fit for us. That puts you in a strong position to be really fast, really effective, and get to the point really quick with your clients. So there's a lot of calls in lead management if you're going to do it yourself. So it's important to know what you're doing before you get on the phone.
Do you use a cheat sheet? That's something I've heard before is like have like it, no matter who you are, how long you've been doing it. I don't care if you've owned your company 15 years. You've been doing this 5 years, you said now, 6 years, and you can't even remember what the fifth question was, right? So like it happens. But I think that's something that is helpful, right? I don't care how long you've been doing sales, especially if you want to grow your company, like make the cheat sheet, have one in your truck and laminate it, have one at your desk, have one wherever. And when you hire somebody, give them one, right? And they get to have it. And then you can never screw it up. You're always going to ask the same questions. You're always going to get the same info. And especially if you go back and you're listening to some of the episodes where we're talking about getting into CRMs and stuff like that, that info is always going to be there for you to keep track of it. And
the answer is yes. I don't make a lot of those calls, so it's easy for me to drop it. But every client, appointment setter has a cheat sheet, and they work for the same clients, so they get to know them really fast and their needs and their goals. But it really comes down to we know the cross streets. We know if McDonald's is on the corner. We know how far away they are. We know like our job is to be essentially pretend like or act as if we are sitting in the office and being somebody local because everybody's US based.
Okay.
So we have complete profiles, and not to mention like it takes us not too long because if the leads are coming in, right, we know who they are and we can get to be a part of their team really fast, and that's the idea. But that's like I said, if you're doing it by yourself, it's the same process. You just got to be very efficient.
So outside of the first couple of like qualifying questions, is there anything else that we need to set an expectation on with the client on that first initial phone call besides like the fact finding mission we're on to qualify them?
Yeah. The most important thing is if you do qualify a client and they do, you decide that you are going to go out to their house. I would say it's very, very important that you schedule that appointment within 72 hours is our window. That's our SOP. If it's possible, it's not always possible. So it's never going to be a question, hey, when are you available? It's saying, hey, I have this time available. Right. And it's within 72 hours of that phone call, because the longer that it gets, depending on their intent and how motivated they are, the longer they go, the less likely they are to cancel you or not show up essentially. So you want to have that. You want to be in there. You want to be on their doormat as soon as possible or having them in your showroom, whatever your objective is.
Yeah, it was, I think sometimes I'd have to put stuff like a week out as one man or they weren't available. And it happens, but I like that. I generally tried to get there within 24 hours. Like if I was going to call at the end of the day, I was trying to schedule it for the next day, that next evening, or even later that day on the way home, if I could just get there. Because for me, it was always about, like you said, if we have to be the first to answer the phone call and that stops them dead in their tracks, oh, somebody responded, they're going to come and service me. Well, then I want to be the first one out to get a bid in, because I want to try and stop them from wanting to look at anybody else's bid, right? I want to go out. I want to wow them. I want to make them feel so comfortable that they're just like, you know what, forget it. This is the guy. We're just going to go with him. And that's
people buy from who they like, who they trust.
Correct. So really I don't want to meet anybody else, right? I want to make them go like me and trust me right off the bat as soon as possible, and then go from there. I also go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, outside of speed to lead is the most important thing, right? Get to them fast, because that's how you're going to push out anybody else if they're coming from shared lead sources. If it's an exclusive lead coming in, it just shows good service. Speed to lead is crucial. Like 5 minutes, no joke. That should be your benchmark. If you can't do it and you're a one-man band, you got to get it to as fast as possible. Like you have to have notifications for those alarm bells going off in your phone if you get a new lead in.
Definitely set. I was using a Google Voice number so that I had a separate number for everybody to call me for the business, and I was able to set a different ringtone for that, right? And so you can know that, like, hey, this text message sound through the app and this ring through the app, like, now I have to pay attention to this. It's not nonsense just coming to my phone. So there's ways to do it. I was going to say, what about besides trying to, that was it. You're saying within 72 hours. When you're trying to set it up within 72 hours, are you offering a couple of times initially and saying, hey, I can do it on Tuesday at 5 or Wednesday at 6? And then if they reject those, you come back and say, okay, when are you available?
I'm going to try to get them two options within 72 hours, working from my closest appointment slot out, right? If they're not available from 2 or 3 attempts, like, hey, when are you available? When's a good time?
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And then that's when you go to the ask.
Okay. And I think that goes back to like, if you want to be in control of the situation, provide the times. I was like, just let me know like what works for you. Right. Like, and you tell me Tuesday night, like what's going to work, instead of just saying Tuesday at 5 or Tuesday at 6. I can give you those. No, that doesn't work. Okay. Wednesday at 6. No, fine. You tell me. Right. I think definitely giving the option and saying, I have this available, you can work with me, or,
who does a great job of this?
Force them to fit your model, force them to fit into your lifestyle, as opposed to bending over backwards and catering to them. It changes the way the entire project goes, is what it does.
The doctor or your dentist does a great job with this. Think about that. Think about the reminders. Remember sometimes, like, I would say if depending on how busy you are, I would even consider making a 24-hour phone call in advance as a reminder saying, hey, I'm coming out to see you. Because that's just going to help you get in front of any wasted movement. And it's the day before the appointment, which is good, right? So if they forgot about the appointment and they're already going through their daily routine, forgetting about your time that you have scheduled with them, they're not likely going to change their day around. So you got to get to them the day before. And that's why we like 24-hour reminders, not 5-hour reminders. Voice reminders.
Yeah, no, I think the 24-hour reminders is crucial. I've had plenty of stuff come up where they forgot, it wasn't on the calendar. And had I done that, it would have saved me a lot of time. And I think if you can get a text saying like, hey, I'm on my way, I'll be there in about 25 minutes. You can't, you're right. The dentist and the doctor's offices have it right. They got the like, hey, here's a week out. Here's like 72 hours out. Here's 24 hours out. They annoy the crud out of you. But while I find it annoying, you can't over communicate. Like they are making sure you will be there for their appointment. And now me having to sit around for 45 minutes past my appointment time to get service is a conversation we won't have, and I got thoughts on that. But I want to start walking out, to be honest, and then be like, I'm going to come back tomorrow. I'm going to be here at 12, and at 12 the doctor needs to see me, because if you showed up to my business late, like, I would not service you. This is nonsense. But
I feel the same way. I like to be always on time personally. On time is late, early is on time.
There you go. That is how I feel. Let's see where we at here. We got I don't want to get into high intent versus low intent yet, because that's going to take a minute. So let's do we'll break a little early. We got a quick word from Utzin. Utzin has your floor installation needs covered with our extensive range of high quality products. Whether it's our moisture mitigation system for concrete slabs, subfloor prep products, tile and stone installation systems, or our tooling, we have the solutions for your project. We also provide expert guidance to help you choose the right solution, as well as technical support for your job site. Learn more by visiting our website, social media, through our app, or contacting your local rep. That expert guidance is not only like Utzin does a great job. I love talking with my local technical guy, Ray. And if I have a project where I'm looking at using some products outside of what I normally would use, he's happy to take the phone call and work you through it. But in general, for your business, this is why you get to know your local reps. Call them up. They are there to help you design ways to be successful. And the really great reps will tell you to go use somebody else's product when it makes more sense. So they won't throw you under the bus and tell you just to use their stuff if it doesn't make the most sense. Utzin does do a great job of it, though, and I love working with them. They are there to make sure you are successful, and that gives you peace of mind that you can easily pass on to the homeowner. So Get to know your local reps, design systems to be successful, offer better warranties, sell on value. That's what I got. Okay. High intent versus low intent leads, right? So now we've got them. They called us, we followed up, we asked them our questions, we got them in our system, we scheduled our appointment within 72 hours. Now well, I guess even before that, the high intent versus low intent is going to probably come before that. But what do we got here?
Different channels, different marketing channels produce different intent, right? So I think a lot of people think like, hey, I need to do Facebook marketing, one, because maybe they think it's cheaper for whatever reason, but there's a lot of testing on Facebook. But most of the stuff that comes in on social media, running ads, campaigns, organic, no matter what it is, right? If you're generating lead flow from there, those are relatively low intent lead flow. And the reason being is like, if I'm creating an ad for somebody and I'm creating interest based upon that ad's job is to interrupt something else they're doing. They're not necessarily typing in, oh, flooring near me on Facebook. I'm producing or making something with my video content team that says, hey, this is so interesting, or so pulls the right audience in to engage. They might fill out a lead form and on Facebook, so an appointment center can get back to them within 5 minutes. But if you're not getting back to them within 5 minutes, you're likely not going to get them because it was low intent in the first place because you're interrupting them. Something that may come in from like Google SEO is flooring near me. You got a customer that's interested. They need flooring. They want to see who's available around them. SEO will produce, or they go to the Google business profile, go to the maps, they'll select somebody. They might go to your website and go to your chat bot or go to your form fill and fill out information for you to call them back. That's what I would call a very high intent lead, right? That's what all flooring dealers want, is high intent leads. They're like, I don't want the crappy leads. I don't want the crappy leads, right? I want the high intent leads. But you got to think that those are very expensive leads. Like, those are the cream. It's like, it's really hard to focus on the cream and say, hey, we're just going to send you cream, right? Because you can have a great system set up where you can have lots of low intent leads coming if you have the manpower or for whatever reason, and you can convert a really good percentage of those into qualified booked appointments with the right system. I can tell you that people with the wrong system or lack thereof a system don't convert low intent leads at all. And then you get the old, hey, these leads suck, right? I'm going to be the first to say almost all leads suck. It's the process that's good that squeezes the berry out of the juice. So there is some level of responsibility. And this is the reason why I believe that most flooring flooring retailers, flooring business owners hate marketing companies, right? Because the leads suck. But in a way, that's what you've asked for. Like when you're talking to these guys on Instagram, it's like, hey, I need more leads. And I've seen it, especially early on, where I was like, I could produce leads, no problem, right? But once I saw that there's a lack of the ability to convert leads, we started building the systems to do it for our clients, because we saw there wasn't going to be any longevity in our business unless we did it for them. That was apparently clear really fast, right? Because we saw well-known characters in this industry that didn't have the ability to convert lead flow into appointments. And it was really shocking, So it's like that system becomes the most important revenue driver in your company to get right. So it allows you the ability to convert low intent and high intent. And think about this too, is shared lead sources like your Angie's, Thumbtack, all the stuff that everybody says is a complete scam, nobody will ever touch again. Some of those lead sources can be pretty good when you assign the right system or build the right system in your business to convert those lead sources. All of a sudden they get from really crappy to, oh crap, I can scale my business off this lead source.
Look, I'm not a huge fan of them. I think they get, there's enough people complaining that the complaints are probably true, and that there are a lot of people getting like ripped off by them. I don't think that's what keeps them in business. I think there are a lot of businesses that are doing very well, and that's what keeps them in business. It's not the people getting, quote unquote scammed. It's the
Mhm.
people that are actually being successful keeping them in business. Otherwise, they wouldn't be around. They wouldn't be making enough money if everyone was complaining and being taken advantage of and getting crap leads. Like, they wouldn't be around
Mhm.
still. So I think I got an analogy here, and so you can let me know if I'm right or wrong.
Please.
If we're talking about high intent leads, that's what everybody wants, right? I want it now, because that's how most of our business models are set up, is that we're not booked 12 weeks out, 16 weeks out, or we're running, if you're a larger retailer, then you might have 5, 10 crews working for you. And so, like, you need people ready to go now. So we all want these high
Mhm.
intent leads, and they exist, but it would be much better to have a consistent flow of low intent leads. And so I think that, like, a high intent lead is, if you were talking about juice, right? So I can go get like the apples or the cranberries or whatever, and I can squeeze them, and I can add some sugar and throw it on the stove, and I can make like juice pretty quickly. But when you have those low intent leads and you build this system out, it's like taking the grapes out of the vineyard, and then you got to press them, and then you got to do, add your sugar, and then you got to put it in the ground, you got to ferment it forever, like, but you're paying attention to it, and you're
Mhm.
making sure that that process doesn't get ruined. And so there's
Mhm.
steps along the way of the fermentation process. I think that's what everyone's missing, is like, low intent leads aren't bad. You just don't have a way to nurture them into a high intent lead that wants to finally close. And so if you can
Mhm.
find a way to convert those low intent leads over 3, 6, 9 months,
Mhm.
your lead flow and the revenue in your business should become much more consistent, because you've found a way to balance it out between low intent and high intent leads. I love it when somebody's ready to go, right? You want it done next week? Cool. I can find an opening. I'll move somebody. I can tell you that it's going to be extra to get it done if you really want me, because you want it done next week and I'm already booked. Like, I got a million ways to make that happen.
Mhm.
But what happens when I'm booked 6 weeks out and I need somebody that wants to go in 7 weeks? I need somebody
Mhm.
that's a little bit lower intent to, like, fill that spot. They might need a couple
Mhm.
weeks to make the decision, right? What can I give them in the meantime to nurture them into becoming week 7?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean it's a great analogy. And then, you know, you also gotta like you can't focus on the bad ones so hard. It's like
Mm-hmm.
some people, you talk to some people like, this was a bad one, this was a bad one, this was a bad one. Managing lead flow into your business is like, think about in bulk of like 100 at a time, right? It's like almost like baseball. Think about baseball and hitting, right? A good batting average versus a great batting average and the only way you get a great batting average is by what? Having batting practice. I'm just making this up on the spot.
Yeah,
You
no,
have
well,
a,
I think that's a great example, right? A great batting average is 3 out of 10. You are killing
yeah,
it in Major League Baseball if you can hit 3 out of 10
Yeah,
times
and it
you're
just
at
fits our
bat.
metrics, and it fits our metrics too because our best lead sources we're doing 3 out of 10
Mm-hmm.
qualified booked appointments, right? And so that's a great way to look at it. Like you gotta step up to the plate and you gotta see those pitches. You gotta do batting practice. You can't step in and hit 3 out of 10. Sometimes you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like there it takes practice to get there. The best to be the best is 3 out of 10. That's the same way leads are, and you got to look at it in bulk of 50 or 100. You can't focus on any individual lead. You have to look at the month. Like how did I do this month? And then you got to look at your close rates internally the same way,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because those two metrics are so incredibly important. How many at bats am I getting, and how many hits am I getting when I get there? And that's your close rate. And it's like I swear everybody I get on the phone with says they have the best close rates. Oh, we're the best close rates. We have 80%. We close 90% of the people. We're really good. I'm like, well, that's good because I know how to get. We know how to get. We know how to coach it. Whatever. Get you 30% and move you there. But there's takes some work internally too.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a given. It's like, it's always, so it's like, think about it like that. It's not any individual lead. It's the batch of leads that you're looking at and analyzing and then pivoting on.
Yeah. Well, so this is perfect, right? Because this is where we're going. So the next question is, how many leads do you need total? But that's actually, when you work the formula, we do it backwards. So how many leads do you need to convert, right? We're kind of in this range of starting to work with this equation. And I think people need to understand how important it is to actually track. I don't have any numbers. I know that I was around 30 to 40% of anybody's house that I actually went to. That's what I would close towards. And that was before. Towards the end, once I got into actually having a paid consultation fee, and it was $100. You had to pay me to come out. The closing rate went to over 90%.
Yeah.
But
I have a friend that does the same thing. He's successful with it too.
But that also meant that I disqualified way, 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 way more people. I didn't go and look at nearly as many things. But if you were willing to give me money, you were pretty much already set on the idea of hiring me. And if you did get multiple quotes, then you definitely, you were deciding to go with me. I had a better presentation. I had a better warranty. They felt more comfortable with me, whatever it was. Right. But once I went to that metric or the stance of like, hey, you got to pay a consultation fee, close rates were for like actually visiting a home were way, way higher. But the amount of leads it took to get one were way higher. So it was probably right. I could get into probably 7 out of 10 homes if I was willing to go and look at everything. And I was maybe getting into like 1 or 2 out of 10 homes with the consultation fee.
That's a great filter though. I mean, that allows you to focus on the high intent opportunities, right? So that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you had a team, right, or you had more people doing it, like it may make some more sense to either reduce the cost of it or say, hey, let's open ourselves up to more opportunity, take a data set, measure it, and say, hey, how are we going to move from here?
Well, I'll argue it's a business model thing. As an independent owner operator, right, and it was myself, and it was either myself and an apprentice. I'm not getting to a whole lot. I didn't need a whole lot. So I was able to be a lot pickier with my leads, and I was able to be more expensive and charge a higher fee. When I look at the way large retail stores are run, they can't pick the like 1% of clients. I wanted to work for the 1% of people that wanted really high end work from like, a custom source and wanted to be just pampered, right? That's what they wanted. You run a retail store, you can't do that. There's just not enough of those people in the market. And so you take a much more, it's mediocre is what I call it, right? It's people who will sell for like, it's okay that there's a couple mistakes. It's okay that the service isn't top notch. Like and so that amount of people, you're going to get way more leads that fit that spectrum, and you're going to be able to close a lot more in that spectrum too. But your pricing is based around that too. My pricing was higher than what the stores were charging, right? So it's like all the way around, it's just kind of like it's average, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a business model. And so there's 2 different ways. And I think if they were to if a retail store switched to a charged like a consultation fee, I don't think they would be able to keep as many crews busy as they did. So it would shut them. It wouldn't shut them down, but it would definitely affect the amount of business they were doing, and it would scale them down. So that's my perception, anyways.
I think it's good perception, and it's a good tool to use. Like a good filter, right? Allows you to that wasted movement ends up costing you so much more money than most people think. The no shows, the wrong clients, meeting with them. It's good. It's a good filter for meeting with the right people for sure.
So I think if we want to get into like how many leads do you need to convert, I think first you need to learn, you have to have data, right? So we need to know what your average project size is.
That's my first thing I was going to say is what's your average and how do we get there?
So you got to start keeping the data on all of your projects, folks. Like you got to know if you're doing 1,000 square feet, one week and 500 the next, and then you had two little 200 square foot project. Like, you got to start adding all this stuff up. You got to go back through your data. This is where CRMs come in handy, because you can just start doing it. It probably has a report that can generate it, right? But you need to know your average project size. You need to know your average project value. You need to know your average profitability on a project, which means you can't just know the value. How much did you actually walk away with? Because you can go do a really, really big project, but if you underbid it and it took you way longer and you only got 10% profitability, you need to know that, so the next time something like that comes along, you can bid it for more. So you have to figure out all the numbers. Mm-hmm. But then once you know your numbers, now we can start looking at, okay, if I want to maintain a 40% margin, the shop I'm looking at opening, I want to maintain a 40% margin. I would like to walk away with $20,000 a month. Should allow me to pay overhead on it, myself the amount of money that I want to make, and then a little bit of marketing and electricity, and like 20 grand free and clear pays the taxes and everything. Well, in order to do that at 40% margin, I've got to do $50,000 in sales a month. Mm-hmm. If my average project size is 1,000 square feet and the average flooring cost is $5, then I need to sell 10 projects a month. Well, if my closing rate is 40%, right, we're working it all backwards, right? So now if I close 4 out of 10 and I need 10, I got to bring in 40 leads. And
that's exactly right.
And then out of that, right, that means I gotta book 40 people to go see, which means that I probably need at least 80 phone calls, because I'm not everyone's gonna want to book an appointment. So I got to find a way to make the phone ring 80 times. So if there's 4 weeks, I got to get the phone to ring 20 times a week. So 4 times a day, minimum. Mm-hmm. That's how I would work all of that backwards. That's like kind of my math. I don't know if you have something a little bit different you're looking at, or what you're trying to do. So let's look at, what's your system?
Nope. You got to know it's the same thing. You got to have a healthy margin. You got to make sure that you're actually making money and not giving it away, not making mistakes. And you have to look at your average project value. You could do that looking over the last 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, quarterly, whatever you want. You could take, total revenue, meaning top line revenue, all sales, all money collected, divided by how many jobs. I'll give you a quick number. Some people say, hey, I did this massive project. I'm going to remove this from my numbers. But if it was generated from your lead flow, you might want to leave it in there. Mm-hmm. Just like the small repair that you might have gotten tricked into. It's up to you, right? You got to kind of take a look at those numbers. What's my average project value, right? And then you have to keep numbers on like how many deals you're closing in the home, and those are real numbers. Like a lot of people that don't know their numbers, I feel like, yeah, we're closing 80%, 90%. We're really good at what we do. Mm-hmm. But they're like, are they talking about referrals, right? And your close rate for referrals is different than your close rate on lead flow. Referrals are somebody that had a great experience with you and said, hey, here's my friend, or a repeat client. They've already had, those are relatively easier to close.
Yeah.
Right. Do you want to include that into your close rate? It might throw off your lead flow numbers, right? The way I look at it, the way we look at it is like your referrals and your repeat business, that's your bonus structure. You do a great job, you get a good referral, you get a good repeat business. Mm-hmm. That's different. Those customers are treated, that process is a little bit different than lead flow. Lead flow is cold traffic, high intent, low intent. Every channel needs to be treated differently and measured differently. Of course, you can consolidate everything in there, but you got to look at the channel and say, hey, we might be getting a high flow of leads from, I don't know, Angie's List, right?
Yeah. And
we're not closing any of them, right? That's going to be a factor. If you're like, hey, I'm getting a high flow of leads from Facebook and we're closing 10 to 20% of them. Well, that's a number that you might be able to work with. Yep. But if you can get 20, like if you could take a lead source like shared leads, Facebook, whatever, you can get like anywhere really from 15 to 40%. There's a good opportunity 15 to 40% of qualified booked appointment rate. There's a high probability that that's going to be a very profitable channel for you. And you need to look at that channel and look at the numbers and kind of scale those numbers accordingly. If you're not working with a big budget, focus on one channel at a time.
Yes.
Right.
Well, and build that
one
out.
channel at a time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's great advice, is that you're talking about, like, you can't lump sum everything together. And so if you're using some kind of lead service, they need to go in their own pool. And if you have Google ads going, then that's its own pool. And if you're doing some kind of Facebook advertising, that's its own pool. I know a guy that just started using a bunch of billboards in his town, small town, but he's got one at like each entrance, right? So there's north, south, east, west. And I was like, so how are you tracking which billboards are working? I was like, you got separate phone numbers set up, or did you do it? He's like, no, I'm not fancy like that, man. I just the amount of calls I'm getting have picked up. And it is a smaller town. He's a smaller guy. Like, I get it. And I love Ruben. I think he's doing an awesome job. And he's just, he kind of throws this thing out there, that thing out there, and it's working for him. At any kind of scale, you got to track it, because if the billboard on the west side of town isn't working, why am I paying the $2,000 a month for it, or whatever it is? Maybe it's $800, maybe it's $2,000, depends on the city you're in. But I don't want to pay that money if no one's calling that phone number. And then,
what if all your sales are coming from one billboard?
Exactly.
It's only costing you $500. You took all that budget and put it in that one billboard, then your sales are going to double, triple, quadruple.
And so even within, like, saying like, oh, well, this is my billboard stuff. No. Like, I need to be able to break my billboard stuff out within my billboard stuff, because maybe the north side of town billboard gives you the best leads. Is there another entrance on the north side of town that I can get another billboard? Would it be worth trying to, like, is there a bus stop there at a good corner? Can I put the billboard and a bus stop, and then I'm getting more traction out of that area? Or just having is it worth paying for the mental awareness, right? Just being top of mind with people over there, and I can drop other stuff, but just within it, like, knowing I get 80 leads from billboards, I'm closing 30 of, like, I'm getting 30 booked appointments, and I close 15 of those. And then I have, 100 calls from Facebook going, but I'm only booking 20 appointments and I'm only closing 2. Knowing all of that stuff is going to help you determine where to put more money and what to do with it. And so you've got to ask the question, right? That's one of the first things is, hey, looking to talk with Susan, you reached out to us. Oh, this is you. Thank you. Love it. Would love to hear about your floor. How'd you hear about us? That's got to be one of the first things out of your mouth. Just get it knocked off, right? Check it off, write it down, keep track of it, and know where that lead's coming from, so that you know what's actually working, instead of just assuming, like you said, oh, we close 80%. 80% of what? 80% of everything? Because I don't care about everything. Like, I need to know what's actually happening per dollar spent to see if it's worth doing.
Yeah. 100%. Get nerdy. Get nerdy with it.
Always. And if you don't want to do it, pay somebody to do it, folks. That's the best part about business.
You can't, and I really believe this, you can't market. You can't really effectively market unless you know your numbers. I've known a lot of mentors and coaches. That's the first advice. What are your numbers? Before we even start, you got to know your numbers inside and out.
You can't do anything with it. That's the big, I mean, that's really one of the biggest messages I have here. It's why I made the business budget calculator spreadsheet. And you can't get it on the website. If you want it, email me. But it asks you how much you're paying for insurance. It asks you how much your truck is. It asks you how much the laptop is and how much you're spending on advertising. And are you going to take some kind of a training class this year, or certification class? Are you going to go on a trip for flooring? And it lets you put in all of those numbers. And it tells you how much, you tell it how many days a year you want to work, and it tells you how much you need to make per day. And so then you can start running a business that gives you the freedom you want. If you, if you want $100,000 a year salary and you only want to work, 250 days a year, it's $400 a day. That you got a minimum, you're charging that. And that's not even covering that's you walking away with $400. You didn't pay taxes yet. You didn't pay for the truck yet. You didn't pay for anything else, right? And people like, I know that there's contractors out there that are like, oh my God, $400 a day, I'm killing it. No, you're not. You're not.
Mhm.
I promise you, you're not making as much as you think. What everyone gets hung up on, the 1099 comes and it says $200,000 at the top of it, right? I made $200,000 this year. You didn't make $200,000. You did $200,000 in revenue.
Mhm.
How much did you keep?
Right.
Do you
Yeah.
got $10,000 of that left? Or do you got $100,000 of that $200,000 left? How much did you keep? How much did you put in your pocket and spend? That's the key here. And it's the same thing, right? How many of these leads did I keep? How many of them put how much in my pocket? That's what we're getting after. That's what matters.
Yeah. And a good book, if this is all new to you, I would say a good book I would recommend, if I could do so, is I have no connection whatsoever, is Profit First.
Great book. Love the envelope
Great.
system. Yes, I haven't read it. I understand it enough. I'm very fortunate that like I dork out with numbers as it is. That
Yeah.
part's always come very easy to me.
It was a perspective shift for me, and a lot of people that I've recommended read it. I think it's like, this is new concept to you. It might give you the perspective shift
Mhm.
and the tools that you need to make this first pivot into this, because this is really important.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you want to be able to afford anything in your business, you have to be making money. And I think a lot of people think they're making money. I knew I was making money. If you're
Mhm.
running profit first, if you understand your numbers, if you're actually keeping track of them and you know you're making money, it changes how you run your business. It
Mhm.
changes when you're actually profitable, when there's actually a bank account behind you and you don't have to worry about how you're going to pay bills on Friday. You have so much more confidence. I think that's like
Yeah.
if you can go into a lead with this, like, it's not a cocky attitude and it's not nonchalant. It's somewhere in between. But like I got to the point where I was like, I'd enjoy doing this. This would be fun. Like, I don't care if you hire me. I'd like to do it, but I don't care. And so there
Mhm.
was like this cocky nonchalantness, and it wasn't like off-putting, but people can sense desperation when you go
Mhm.
to their lead, and that doesn't go very well. So when you're kind of like, when you're like aloof with it, they're just like, that's different. That's not any other contractor that's come in here. They're like, I kind of want this guy because he doesn't care. It's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. We were going to give some kind of a playlist, like a 5-step action plan, or you had talked on that level. So not to put you on the spot, but you out of
No.
everything we've talked about over 2 episodes, like what is we're kind of about that time. So let's give everybody an action plan. If we're going to put everything into work, everything into place, what steps are we taking and how are we tackling them so that we can go be way more successful? Not if we're using a lead management system or we're doing it ourselves, what do we put in place?
Let's do this. I'm gonna explain that, not in great long detail, but I'm gonna give a small crash course. One of my favorite things to do, and I say this through social media or whatever. You have questions about this, I'm happy to answer your questions. Like, they're not sales calls or nothing like that. I truly want to add value to the industry, and you're
Okay.
wondering what the first few steps are, or you're far low up the chain. You're on chapter 20, because the truth is somebody's chapter 1 is different than somebody's chapter 20. So it's like, where do I start? What do I do? So I'm going to start and just give you a brief, not a brief, I'm going to give you a good understanding of, hey, I'm looking at my first lead, I'm looking at my last lead, and what you need to do to convert those leads. And everybody that's listening may be able to relate to the situation and say, this is probably my next step, if that would work, and what you need to do to be successful on that step. That sounds good to you.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. All right. So first of all, you got to understand which channels are out there. You have Google. Google is going to be more expensive. SEO is a long game. Don't forget, SEO is going to be 12 to 24 months if you haven't started. So get prepared to settle in, spend money. And if you truly want to do it yourself and you're interested, go ahead. But if you're not, don't think you're going to be great at it. It's going to be even longer. So that's a game that you don't necessarily need to crush in order to win at bringing on new clients, but it is a channel And that's where all the big dogs play. Social media is an even playing field for just about everybody out there, especially on the organic level, especially on local businesses, right? An organic strategy versus a paid strategy. If you don't have if you don't have any budget to spend on paid ads, you need to be leveraging social media. You need to be putting up posts. You need to be sharing your before, your after, what's going on, the best you possibly can. Find somebody to help you and use it around your personal profile, because your business profiles aren't going to get a lot of reach. Facebook and Meta want to all that to be paid traffic. So make sure that your personal profile on Facebook is professional, you look good, you resonate well to any potential audience, and make sure that you are putting up, like, everybody that knows you should know what you do and how you do it, right? So not only by the time they're ready, they're going to reach out to you because you've just let them know 100 times over and how great your work is. That is the best way. The organic strategy is a long strategy, right? But it will pay dividends if you are consistent. The shortcut is paid lead or paid traffic, right? You can put up ads, you can work on great placements, and you can generate lead flow immediately from that, from 1 to 10 a day, right? But that costs money. You're paying for the shortcut there. One caveat that I would give you is that if you know how to convert free traffic, organic traffic, you're going to convert paid traffic way better, right? A lot of people jump into paid traffic really fast, not understanding completely how to convert traffic, right? And they end up wasting a lot of money. So practice on your free traffic, your organic stuff, to see, to understand how to convert that. Use a lot of the tools that we gave in here, the conversations, the qualifying calls, like all that stuff, speed to lead, will all play an important part in your process that you built. Most contractors that I feel like are running around in vans and stuff like that, solopreneurs around that $500,000 mark, their first effort in marketing is either Facebook Marketplace or one of the shared lead sources like Thumbtack or Angie's or something like that. Just know that, like, the shared leads won't work for you unless your speed to lead is within seconds to minutes, right? The idea is to leverage everything we talked about in these conversations, qualify them, customer service, relationship building, and schedule that employment before the next contractor calls. Because most of the time it's going that way to the first person that calls. Your performance, your competitive advantage is going to be getting there fast and brilliant customer service. If they don't answer, call them the next day. Call them 3 days in a row, right? CRMs are crucial to organizing your lead flow. They allow you to capture everything in one spot. If you want to come back later and send everybody a message for your October Halloween sale, you can do that. It's better than trying to pull everybody out of your email. So if you're a new contractor and you're going to go to Facebook Marketplace, it's better to go off your personal profile. You're going to get way more phone calls than if you put up a business profile. So that would be my advice there. You really need, if you're doing it yourself, you could start with about $500 on the shared lead sources, right? Get signed up with them. You're going to get some bad leads. Remember what we talked about earlier. You're going to look at these in batches of 50 to 100 to decide how they are. Okay. You may need, if you're only spending $500 a month, you may need 2 or 3 months to really identify, how good that lead source is for you. And then you also have to identify, did I manage those leads properly? Because that is the one metric that I think that most people lose, is the speed to lead and the management there. So if you can't do that fast, I might skip that lead source and go to Facebook Marketplace.
Minimum 90 days is a great tip, and being honest with yourself of did you do a good job or not is crucial. Great advice.
Yeah, and so I would say that everybody out there should be leveraging the greatest tool of our generation, which is social media, right? It's hard. People know they need to post more. They know they need to put themselves out more. They know it doesn't cost any money, right? They can do it for free. And really the most important ingredient there is frequency. How often are you doing it, right? It's not quality, right? People are going to relate to human interactions on social media. So if you put yourself up there talking, you feel comfortable, do it, right? Allow yourself to get better at it. There is no perfect post. Don't wait for perfection. Perfection will come one at a time, improving what you're doing day after day, month after month. Don't expect to like say, I can't start until I look like Gary Vaynerchuk or something.
Yep.
You got to give yourself the opportunity to get in and fail.
Look,
no joke.
You guys are business owners. And I'm horrible at this. I am horrible at social media. I was great when I was running Illustrious and it was still open. I was posting at least once a week because every week I was generally wrapping up a project. I could have been making posts 3 times a week. You're out there, you're a business owner, you have content right in front of you. What are you working on? What can you do for somebody? What value can you provide? What can you teach them about? Because generally, especially for my installer, owner, operators out there that are just doing installations, Mrs. Jones is looking at your stuff and she just wants to know the solution to a problem. And I guarantee you, whatever you're working on is something she's probably going to be concerned about. So if you got a subfloor ripped open, think about why it happened. What caused it? What's the solution? Post about it. Take 30 seconds, a minute, put it together and do it. You're 100% correct. We should all post more.
That's 100%. Let me give you something to post, a formula. This is our winning formula. I'll give to everybody out there. When you think about putting a post up, right? It's like, who's your target audience? Call them out. Say homeowners in Seattle, Washington, or Dallas, Texas, wherever, right? We call them out, cut through the noise. Say, oh, it's a local guy, right? Describe their problem to them, right? I said, hey, you got a problem here? Like this customer had a problem here, or check this out, they had a problem here. Right? This is the problem. Relate to them. I'm like, oh, I have that problem too. Give them a solution. We either solve their problem with this, or I can solve your problem with this, right? Call out a perfect customer, describe their problem, solve their problem, and at the very least, give them a strong call to action. What do you need to do next? Just call me, click below, link, whatever it is. Tell them what they need to do, right? If you want to get into more and you want to get longer, you can go to call out your perfect customer, describe their problem, solve their problem, social proof. We've done this for 100 people, or here, I just did this for this person, right? Yep. And then call to action. You can add a few things in there, but that's a basic formula that you're going to use.
That's it.
And it works. It works.
If you struggle with it, folks, go to YouTube and you can go to the Floor Academy channel. I think it's called advertising with storytelling or storytelling for advertising, one of those two, but I got a video on it and I break down, I go through how you actually tell a story and then how that would go with like relating it to a shower build or a flooring installation and do it. That's honestly, it's how I built my business through social media. As I told stories because and I didn't even know I was doing it at the time. Like my film background came in and paid off in this respect. But if you've got before and after pictures of a project and you can tell why you were contacted, what did Mrs. Jones contact you for? And then you can work through the project and then tell how her problem was solved. And you make her the hero and you're the Obi-Wan Kenobi to the Luke Skywalker. That's the key, right? It's not about you. It's about her. And so then Mrs. Smith is going to read it and be like, oh, that's me. He can fix that for me? Oh, I got to call him. That's the key. And so, but if it's all about you and how spectacular you are and why your install's the best and so amazing and technically proficient, she doesn't care. What she cares about is that the dog was pissing on the carpet and ruining it, and you went in and gave her a floor that the dog could piss on and not ruin it. That's what matters. So I love it. It's huge. Being able to post and storytell is, y'all can do it because that's the only way humans communicate is we're storytellers by nature.
The only way you get good at it is by doing it. Yeah, your first attempt is always your worst result. So get to your first attempt as fast as possible. Get to your second. Get to your third.
Love it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, and so I would say in summary on this whole thing is 1, get organized, get a CRM. Sorry, I don't care where you choose to do it. If you, whatever, find a way to get organized. 1, 2, If you are a contractor or a flooring business owner or an installer that is relying on your referrals and your repeat business to grow, I feel like you're going to be in a cycle, right? It's going to be hard. Not every step on the stairs is the same height. Sometimes the next level up is a big jump,
Mhm.
right? You need to be able to generate lead flow into your business in order to scale your business on lead flow and treat your referral and repeat business as sheer bonuses for doing a great job, right? That's a bigger step for some people. Find it from shared leases, find it from Facebook, find a lead source and get them coming in so you can start building a system that we talked about, speed to lead, get to them fast, qualify your customers, qualify booked appointments, call them, every day for 3 days at least. Come back, loop around at some point and get back to them. That system right there is the step up. I believe that's a system that gets you to the next plateau or the next hurdles that you want to get to. Because every level has different hurdles and they're all bigger.
Mhm.
But you got to get over that hurdle in order to get to the next level, in my opinion, is lead flow.
Perfect. All right, Tony, where can people reach out to you if they want to know more, if they want to learn about your company and what you can do with them for, if somebody wants to hire you for initial lead flow, where can they find you to do that? And then if they just want to kind of chat, because it's probably two different places to reach you. If they want to just chat about the episodes and kind of what you talked about, where can they reach you for that?
First of all, you don't have to call me even if you're just anxious and you want to chat. I like to actually help as many people as possible. It's a live to give mentality that I think I want to do, in this industry. So if you want to say, hey, can you give me advice on getting, I would be more than happy to sit on the phone with you or a Zoom call and give you whatever I can to help you be successful. And please know that that's a sincere gesture. The other part is anywhere on social media, Flooring Dealer Sales Accelerator on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok, we got it on YouTube. Anywhere you can reach out,
Okay.
flooringdealersalesaccelerator.com. If you want to go to the websites, wherever you want to go, you can call me, email me. I will give you some time and I will help you go to the next level. Everything that we talked about, we do.
Okay.
We have appointment setters that are US based. We can do the management for you. We can do the CRM side for you. We can do ads. We have people on our, I have a team that literally does all the Facebook content for you. You can have it every day to 3 times a week, whatever you want, schedule it out, whatever it is, we can do it. But most importantly, it doesn't matter. The next step is the most important and I'll help you identify if you want.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Love the conversation. Folks, there's so much for you to take out of these 2 episodes of how you manage your leads, how you work with them, how you follow up with them, how you nurture them. Go back, listen, find your golden nuggets, put them in place, change your business. It doesn't have to be as hard as it currently is. And if you think it's easier, or I think if you think it's easy right now, you're either not doing enough or you're not breaking something, because that's what you got to do in your business. If it gets easy, you got to go break something, and so you can figure
Yeah,
out where the problem is and fix it and make it even easier, right? I want
so
it to
true.
be so easy that I only have to check in. That's the dream
Yeah.
for me, is that I want an ATM machine that just spits money out at me and I can come check on it quarterly. That would be the ultimate for me, is I can come and have fun
Systems.
and point and say, hey, I want to go in this direction now. This is what it looks like. Here's some plans. Let's go execute. And I can just kind of keep an eye on it and make it happen. So I want that for a lot of people. That's what you want. That's awesome. If you want something easy and you want it to just be easier for you as a owner operator, having a great way to nurture leads so that you're not constantly looking for that high intent person that needs it right now is going to be huge in order to get people coming back 3, 6, 9 months, a year down the road and converting them into being an actual client. So tons of great advice here. Go back, make sure you listen to it again, pull out those nuggets, implement them. It'll make a big difference. We got a quick word here from Tice. Listeners, it's nearing that time of year again where the International Surface Event is returning to Las Vegas, January 28th through the 30th of 2025. Mark your calendars now. Whether you're an installer, retailer, distributor, or serve in another capacity within our industry, attending TICE is a solid resource to expand your knowledge and networking base. You can also learn about the newest and industry-leading products coming to market. Stay up to date with the International Surface event on Facebook or visit intlsurfaceevent.com. Always a great time. So many people to see. The networking that's the reason I go. I don't care about the products, I'll be honest. I don't care about the new floor coming out. I haven't really seen anything big in the last couple of years that's wowed me anyways. Being able to go see all of my flooring friends from across the country and different countries, having the conversation that you can have with somebody when you run into them saying, oh man, I saw that, you're this person and you're doing this. Like, can we talk for 10 minutes on this topic, and being able to pick their brain and bring something back to change your business. That's why you go to these amazing industry events. Is the networking that you can do, the relationships that you can build are game changing. And so the small cost to, if you're a small guy, I would equate it to, I was looking to make $5,000 a week in the business, Monday through Friday at $1,000 a day. So I was out $5,000 plus the cost of travel. So we'll add a couple grand there. So let's say all in it was like $8,000. I had to find a way to go to the show and bring back $10,000 in value for my business to offset the bottom line. It's really not that hard. If you can have a couple of conversations, you can find a way to add $10,000 easy to your bottom line. And honestly, I would be looking to a minimum like 5 exit or 10 exit. So it's there, but it's up to you to go and do the work while you're at the show and not get distracted and just have drinks. Don't do that. Go have conversations. It's an amazing show. All right. Tony, again, thank you. Love all the insights, folks. Reach out to him. He's not lying. This whole relationship has started by him reaching out to me. We've been going back and forth for weeks beyond just having the couple of podcasts. It's been excellent. He's a great conversation. I'm not going to lie. He's full of insights. And if you're looking to get some like lead management going, he can do that for you too. So thank you. We will be back next week with another episode. And
thank you.
Don't forget to tune in. Catch you all next week.